If you'll all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Do we have a motion to accept the Board of Selectmen special meeting of April 8th?
The minutes,
Minutes, yes.
so moved.
Is there a
Jill
second?
Overlander, second.
Okay, it's discussion. All those in favor?
Aye. Jill Overlander, yes.
Fred Camillo,
Aye.
yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Okay, 3-0. Thank you. Is there a motion to accept the Board of Selectmen minutes for the meeting of April 9th?
So moved.
Jill Overlander, second.
Okay, Fred Camillo, any discussion first? If not, Fred Camillo votes yay.
Lauren Raven votes yes.
Jill Overlander votes yes.
Okay, thank you. Approved minutes of April 9th. Moving on to the first Selectmen's updates. Yesterday, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. We will be, we started getting some photos out there. We will promote some more today and throughout the weekend, just to get people thinking about some of the initiatives that we've undertaken here, like the food scraps program, encouraging people to start composting now until we get the food scraps facility venue up and running at Holly Hill in a couple of weeks. Also be promoting the textile program, recycling, and the electric vehicle charging stations that Jill's been instrumental in. And yesterday we didn't get a chance to talk too much about some of the initiatives that we're working on and that Jill's doing on the sustainability committee. So maybe during Jill's update, she could circle back with that. We are going to be announcing just some clarifications of policies that we've put in place during this COVID-19 lockdown, for lack of a better term. We've kept, as everybody knows, we kept our trails open, but closed the parks, fields, and playgrounds. What we've been telling people for the last month or so is our police force and our parks monitors is if somebody is walking through the park and they're not bothering anybody, to let them do that. That's no different from the walking on the trails, as long as they're keeping their distances. And we're going to clarify that today. We're going to put up some signs, and we'll start that in the Byron Park, Benny, and Bruce. We'll also have some other be coming out with some other policy recommendations for some other venues in the coming days. Special events calendars. We have a lot of summer events coming up, as everybody knows, and we decided to address them and put out, make a preliminary decision on these events 45 days out, and then with a hard decision, a hard stop, yay or nay, 30 days out. So the first one will be the Memorial Day Parade in Old Greenwich. We will be having to make a decision tomorrow on that. Lots of these events can be postponed, and we'll be reaching out to people. Some have already been postponed, but we want to make sure that people have enough time to plan ahead. So that's why we're doing the 45-day and the 30-day lookout. The marinas, we're getting lots of calls on that. We are working on a policy on that, as well as Todd's Point, which does present some challenges, 140-acre park. We have some ideas about how to get people at least using some part of it, but we're working through the logistics of it so that it doesn't go awry. But with and also shifting gears a little bit, Office of the First Selectman has gone over both its operational and capital budgets, and will be recommending adjustments to it, to the DET. So with that, I will turn it over to Selectwoman Raven for her updates.
Thanks, Fred. And it was fun to participate in the Earth Day proclamation yesterday with the wind blowing and it feeling very much like a February day as opposed to an April day. And we did our social distancing, we had our masks on. The work that I've been doing since our last Board of Selectmen meeting is to continue to schedule our interviews for the boards and commissions. We did 3 interviews last week. We're going to get back on track. Next week, we have the potential to schedule 9 to 10 more interviews, and we would have more appointments to approve. It's a good news story. We actually have more interest than we have spots. So we have some choices to make. We need to round off all those interviews to make sure that we're making the best selections to put forward to the appointments committee of the RTM. With respect to something I announced at our last meeting, working with the Commission on Aging to identify senior citizens above the age of 75. We did that work, and there's about 3,300 households in Greenwich that have somebody in that age group. And we're working with the RTM, the Commission on Aging, perhaps even the library and some other groups associated with providing services to seniors to reach out and connect with our senior residents just to say hello, make sure everything's okay. Fred is going to be doing a reverse 911 call to those telephone numbers before we start, because one of the things we do encourage seniors is to not answer the phone from strangers and to give out information to people you do not know. And it's likely that the caller may not know, or the senior may not know the caller. So excited to get that started. And that's my update.
Great. You ready for me, Fred? He's on mute. I'm
on
just going
mute.
to start. I'm going to start with my update. While Fred is on.
Sorry, I was talking to a muted.
Yeah.
It's all your fault, sorry.
Thanks, Lauren. Yes, so Earth Day was not, the town had actually a lot of plans in the works for an Earth Week and modified some of that. So maybe some of you were able to catch the reading of the proclamation of Earth Day, and I know it was distributed this morning by the First Selectman's office. I've been working with the Greenwich Sustainability and Enhancement Committee. We've talked about this before. We have now adopted a statement of purpose and guiding principles and have started to work on breaking out into subcommittees. Who we are. We are a diverse partnership, including leadership from the Board of Selectmen, town departments, representative town meeting members, Greenwich public and private schools, environmental nonprofits, and local businesses. All committed to educating and advocating, serving as a liaison between the multiple groups so that people in our community can know all of the options and all the great things that are going on an environmental basis in this town. And we're so appreciative of the partnership. Some of the things that Fred did mention that we've been working on is getting a couple of pilot projects up and running, including the electric vehicle charging station at Town Hall, and identifying a share the road concept for some bicycles on heavily traveled routes. The departments have been really helpful in that, and now we're moving forward to address some of the other issues, including talking a lot about waste reduction, which is something that's being talked about a lot in town, seeing whether the Sustainability Committee can help and advocate for that, including reusables in our school system and other options for reducing our waste. If you have an interest in this, please reach out, and we'd love to have your participation as well. The other area that I've been working closely with is on the COVID relief efforts organized through the not-for-profits. And as you know, the town was an initial partner on that effort to try to respond immediately to some of the challenging financial and real need-based issues that our residents are facing. The United Way is acting as administrator of a COVID relief fund. All of the money, whether it be privately donated or even the town support, has been in a segregated fund. There are no administrative fees charged. There is a extensive and deep dive into all of the applications, which go out to local not-for-profits for use for Greenwich residents. A lot of the funds that have been awarded so far have been immediate relief on food insecurity and immediate shelter needs for the for really at-risk population. And we're continuing that work as we speak. So I want to thank everyone who's been involved in that. I know a number of us are facing, a number of our community are facing a lot of challenges these days. If there is a food need or food insecurity, the Department of Human Services is really working hard to coordinate those efforts. There is information on the town website for that, but please reach out to the Department of Human Services to make sure you're connected. The Commission on Aging has been working very closely with the senior community as well to make sure they're connected. And communication ends up being critical to all of us in this period. So please reach out to any one of the Board of Selectmen at any time if you need support or even a conversation. Let us know how you're doing. I think as we move forward, I know the First Selectman is taking a very, very close look at all of our situation, and we really want to be able to respond adequately to you. So communication ends up being key. Thank you. That's it, Fred.
Thank you, Jill. I just want to add that I couldn't ask for two better teammates in this effort than Lauren and you. You are both stepping up and really helping out, and it's greatly appreciated by our town. And you mentioned the seniors and people getting involved, and I did another Zoom yesterday with them, and it's great. People are really tuning into it. They're asking questions, they're engaged, they're offering their suggestions and their thoughts. And I think we probably should be doing more of that with different groups. This vehicle, Zoom, or any other one like it, is really quite good. And people, I think, are all age groups, all demographics, they're all getting used to it now. And it's good. It's helping us communicate a lot easier, and we're hearing a lot of the concerns out there. So thank you for mentioning that, and both of you for what you're doing. Old business. We had the request for the MI for the Glenville Road corridor. That's been pulled for today. I don't know if Jim or Gabrielle is on, but I did speak with Amy again this morning. That's been pulled for now. So we'll go to item B, which is the cell tower lease between the town of Greenwich and Verizon. And we have Assistant Town Attorney Amina Ahmed. Good morning, Amina.
Good morning, Mr. First Selectman, Board of Selectmen. I hope you're all doing well. I'm back here on the Verizon lease. This is the same lease that you had reviewed at your April 9th meeting. This is the lease at the Griff Harris Golf Course cell tower. And nothing has changed since that time. The only question we needed some clarification on from your April meeting was the MI status for this lease. So since your April meeting, I've gone back to Planning and Zoning and Director Katie DeLuca, and she has confirmed for us that the MI approval that was received earlier on in 2018 is still valid, because the only thing that really changed from that time to now is an increased rent amount thanks to the appraisal that was done in the meantime. So the MI approval is still valid, and so at this point we would be asking the board to approve this lease. I'm obviously happy to answer any questions that you might have. But after we've gone through that process, we would be seeking your vote so that we can present this lease to the RTM in May.
Before we move and vote, there are a lot of people that are attending, I believe, that were anticipating that we were still going to be going and talking about the municipal improvement status for Glenville Road. I see Joanne Messina has her hand up. So I imagine we need to disposition for the fairly large audience that might have been here for that item. So Joanne, I'm going to allow you to speak, and if you can just announce yourself, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Joanne, thank you.
Okay, yes, Joanne Messina. I was, was on for the municipal improvement status for Glenville, and I was curious as to why that was pulled and what the process is now.
Yeah. Hi, Joanne. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi. So we've had to dial back our operational and capital budget recommendations. Since there were some questions about trees and I think one other question from a resident there, it made sense to pull it back, put the push the pause button on this one. We're still supportive of the project, but we want to. It gives you a little bit more time to work with the town on that and to make sure that everybody's on the same page. But we had to scale back our capital, and so that was one of the projects we did.
Thank you. And we are very willing to speak with you, with DPW, in any way that we can assist on this project.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Amina.
Oh,
I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about this lease.
I do not have any questions on it, but if Jill or Lauren or anybody in the audience does.
Thank you, Amina. You answered all of my questions at our last Board of Selectmen meeting. I appreciate it, so I'm prepared to vote.
Now I get prepared for the RTM's questions. We would just ask for a vote.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So is there a motion to accept this lease between the town and Verizon?
It's Lauren Rabin, and I motion that we accept the lease, the cell tower lease between the town of Greenwich and Verizon.
Jill Oberlander, I second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor, Fred Camillo votes yes.
Lauren Rabin votes yes.
Jill Oberlander votes yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amina. Much appreciated. Okay, that is
Fred,
approved.
before we move to the next item, we have another raised hand. Vin DeMarco, and I imagine it was back on the improvement status for the Glenville Road corridor. So Vin, I'm going to unmute you. Vin, if you can just identify yourself.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's Vin DeMarco. I'm following up on that question regarding the Glenville project, the CMAC project. I'm not sure that I understood the answer in terms of the budget item. Is the item actually going to be pulled out of the Selectmen's recommended budget for 21-22?
Yes, Vin, it has been pulled, I said. It's been pulled and it'll allow that, not that we're against the project, but we had to make some hard decisions because of what we're dealing with now.
No, I understand. I get all that.
So it also gives us some time now to for people who may have had some questions about it and concerns to get them ironed out.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the CMAC, the funding,
Yes.
the reimbursement. Are we going to lose that?
Right. So exactly. So I spoke with Amy Siebert this morning, and she will go back to Westcog today and give the reason for the pause on this as being COVID-19 related.
I see.
And I think they're seeing a lot of that now. Lots of municipalities are pulling back. So I was going to make that call this morning, but Amy said she was going to take care of that. So they know why. It's not because the town is against it. But as I mentioned before to Joanne, it does give us some time to just work out some of those concerns that you may have had.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Okay, going on to item C in old business, the request for MI status for Cardinal Stadium. We have Russell Davidson from the Board of Education joining us.
Yes, and Dan Watson is also on, and Peter Bernstein, I just promoted or changed you to panelist as well.
Okay, is Russell on?
Mhm.
Yeah, Russ Davidson, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you, Russ.
Yeah, it's good to see you all. So we're prepared to move forward, and with direction from the Board of Selectmen, the team has coordinated a submission to the Planning and Zoning, and we believe we have everything prepared that they need to see to move forward, including additional information on the driveway entrance and a traffic study and storm drainage. So we just need the board's approval to keep it moving.
Thank you, Russ. And just to circle back on our discussion from a few weeks ago, my main concern with this, and I'm supportive of the project, I know it's long overdue, is if we break it up and we put the road, the road component of this project in a secondary position. My question to you at the last meeting was, how long would the people have to wait for us to address that? And you said within a year you would be back before us. And I just wanted to make sure that that's still the case.
Our direction is to prepare the phase 2 MI application as quickly as possible, and we're targeting June. So a little more than a month to be back in front of you. I think the board really wanted both MIs to happen at the same time, but we couldn't do two things simultaneously. But what is going to the planning board tomorrow with your positive vote today will be a driveway entrance, which will be the final configuration, and a traffic study that analyzes the impact of the road, even though that's not in phase 1. So we are including some of that information, and our direction from the Board of Education is to proceed full speed with both MI applications.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it. Questions?
I don't have any questions.
Jill?
No questions. I would like to just reiterate that given the interest in the project and to make sure that the second phase MI does come forward in as prompt and rapid a time frame as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said. It's something that we're all concerned about, because it's, I think the people on Hillside Road were promised some things when the MISA project was going on, and some of those things didn't come to fruition. So we want to make sure that we really hold our end of the bargain up on agreement on this up. So thank you very much. Is there a motion to accept the request for MI status?
There's a hand before we have a hand up. Thanks, Jenny. So Elizabeth Dempsey, I'm going to unmute you. And if you could just please identify yourself. Elizabeth. Elizabeth, are you there?
You may need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, she's not showing mute on the system.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great.
Elizabeth.
Sorry, there was a problem with Zoom. Listen, just very quickly, thank you so much for the support. I also just wanted to mention for future thinking that beyond what what are the issues of our Hillside Road neighborhood, that this will tie in the idea of doing both MIs as soon as possible, will tie in greatly with the rebuilding of the bridge, which I didn't emphasize in previous meetings, but the redo of the bridge on East Putnam, honestly, the town will be up in arms when that happens. It's going to be over 2 years of one lane for both directions. So I do think the board is really wise in pushing for the phase 2 road as a form of egress, as that will help it greatly. And secondly, I was going to put in the bug in your ear. I don't know how all the processes work, but with that rebuilding of the road, I know that state funding is critical as it's a state road. And if there's any way that that can be put off, then the putting in that second form of egress will really tie in nicely if we can, if for some reason with the virus, the funding of that bridge, which was supposed to be very soon, maybe could be put off a little bit. So just an idea there, and thanks for your support.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Much appreciated. Okay, let's go to the vote.
All right. I motion that we approve the municipal improvement status for Cardinal Stadium.
Jill Oberlander, I second that motion.
Okay, discussion. All those in favor, Fred Camillo votes yes.
Lauren Raven votes yes.
Jill Oberlander votes yes.
Okay, we have approved the request for MI status for Cardinal Stadium. Thank you all. Now going on
Thank
to
you very much.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks.
You wanted any comments, Peter? Or?
Yeah, thank you very much, Fred. We appreciate your support on this. We absolutely want to see the whole project completed. The road will come to you as soon as it can. The discussions with P&Z really have centered on the actual road and the access point. So we are anxious to see that move forward as well. We would like to begin getting the bleachers in for the fall. That is our first and foremost priority, given the prior breaches have been condemned. And obviously we're still paying the monthly rental as we talked about before. And the analysis we've done is it would be more costly to remove them to have to put them back up in the fall. So we do want to move forward and try to get those replaced so we can stop paying that fee, because that's just unnecessary in the current market. So thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Much appreciated. Seeing no other hands there, we will go on to new business and the Pembroke Road closure and detour. We have a DPW engineer, Juan Paredes. Is Juan on?
I am now. Can you hear me?
Yes. Morning, Juan.
Good morning.
And if you want to share your video, we're happy to see you.
I'm happy to share myself here. Start video. Okay, hopefully you can see me. We had asked if we could share on the screen the traffic detour plan. And I think it's coming up now. So I can see it on my end. Hopefully everybody else can as well. If you'd like, I can get started with you.
Yeah,
I am sharing it, so let me know if you need me to do something else.
we can see it.
Okay, great. I mean, if it's all right, I can get started with my presentation.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, Mr. First Selectman, members of the Board of Selectmen, and public in general. My name is Juan Paredes. I'm a civil engineer too with the Town of Greenwich DPW Engineering Division. Thank you for your time and consideration of this road closure and traffic detour application. This is for the town project number 18-20, the Pembroke Road retaining wall reconstruction and guide railing improvements. We submitted to this board 2 documents. One is a memo detailing the scope of the work and the request for the road closure and traffic detour, and also the document that I hope everyone can see on their screen, which is the traffic detour plan itself. If you are able to see the plan, hopefully zoom in a little bit towards the center, And if you're not able to see it, I'll try to describe it over the phone as best I can. But you're always welcome to download it from the Town of Greenwich website. So towards the center of the plant, there is a bubbled area that it's labeled the construction zone. This construction area, it's located on Pembroke Road between Comley Avenue and Halleck Drive. It is roughly 600 feet in length, and inside of this construction zone, we have a continuous retaining wall on the southbound lane of Pembroke Road. This retaining wall is roughly 280 linear feet in length, and it has 3 sections to it. And if you could picture a north, a center, and a south section of this continuous retaining wall, the center portion was found in good condition. It's not part of this reconstruction project. The north part of this retaining wall, roughly 150 feet, and the south portion, 30 feet in length, were found in very poor condition and in need of reconstruction. And that is the subject of this town project. It's a reconstruction and the guide rail improvements. We are asking of this board for a road closure of this section of Pembroke Road in order to reconstruct these 2 retaining walls, in order to protect an existing utility that we have on the southbound lane of Pembroke Road. In close proximity of this retaining wall, we have a 4-inch gas main, and also to provide safe access to the construction crews. Now, we've determined that once the construction gets started, the majority of the southbound lane is going to be affected. It will be disturbed. That is within the construction zone. And it would leave very little room in the northbound lane. As you're familiar with this area, the geometry and topography is such that there's very little shoulder room, and that would prevent us from having a 2-way alternating traffic on the northbound lane, either during the construction activities or at the end of the day of the construction activities. And that's the reason why we are requesting that the road be closed throughout the duration of the construction activities. We are asking for a road closure of 60 continuous calendar days. The original plan was for this road closure to occur between the window of late June and August. Because of the many ways the pandemic has affected us, we don't have the exact dates yet. But the intention was to coincide outside of the school calendar. And of course, we're working with concrete and asphalt, so we wanted to be working in the warmer weather. Now, once the town budget is approved and we're able to sign contracts and we get a little bit closer to this window of time, again, late June and August, we'll inform this board and the general public through press releases, notifications, posting on the web page as to the exact dates. If you are able to see the plan on your screens, on your cell phones, you'll see the location of the construction zone, the location of where we'll put the barricades, concrete barricades that would limit the access. One, obviously, of vehicles, pedestrians, bicycle users. We really want to limit the access of all these vehicles and people. You also see the location of where we're proposing the traffic detour signs. These signs are our primary means of maintaining this road closure and traffic detouring. We'll ask police officers and flag persons to assist when and if needed only. Here shown as a dashed or dotted line, you'll see the traffic detour route itself. We are proposing to utilize Moshier Street, Weaver Street, Hawthorne Street North, and Gray Rock Drive. And that's what you can see on that dotted gray line. So this detour route is approximately 2 miles in length, and we have determined that this is the safest and shortest detour for this particular project. We consulted with the police department, and they have concurred that this is the appropriate, most appropriate plan. The traffic that will utilize likely this detour, certainly the northbound and the southbound traffic of Pemberwick, but also that eastbound traffic of Comley Avenue, that would have made a right turn onto Pemberwick. Now, we understand that local residents and traffic may prefer a different route. Certainly, if I was driving up Comley Avenue with the intention to get to West Putnam, I might prefer to take a right on Fletcher Avenue. So we have provided signage giving enough warning, Pemberwick Road closed to traffic ahead, and so on. So what you have in front of you is what we have determined to be the safest and shortest detour of traffic. Myself and Deputy Commissioner Jin Michael are available here if you have any questions. And we thank you for your time and consideration of this application.
Thank you, Juan. Any questions of Juan about this proposed road closure?
I have a question. First, Juan, very thorough and detailed presentation, so thank you for that. If you cannot do it during the months of June to August, what is Plan B? Because that is a dense area. I'm not sure where like the school bus stops are, but that would be a concern if we get into the school year.
Sure, and thanks for the questions. I think a lot of people would have had that concern as well. So this is a town asset repair. We do have a retaining wall that is in poor condition supporting a heavily trafficked road, and our first intention here is to repair it as soon as we can. Of course, we're trying to accommodate certainly the school calendar, however that calendar may come out to be. But our first plan was to coincide outside of the school calendar to make it practical for everybody. But if we need to do this work outside of the school calendar, we'll communicate with the schools and let them know. But our priority really is to make sure this road is structurally sound.
Thank you.
Jill, any?
Yes, thank you, Fred. Thank you, Juan, for the presentation and the description. It's very helpful. Could you speak for a few minutes about what kind of outreach has been done with the community about both the project as well as the road closure?
So the project itself is a 2018 project. We have communicated with the neighborhood association. I know they have presented some questions that I'd like to think that we've addressed. We've explained to the association the need for this structural repair and the likelihood of this application that we have in front of you of a road closure and detour. So we have communicated the needs to the public, but we'll continue to do so through press releases, notifications, and posting information on the webpage.
Thank you. And in addition, I know that the project was approved 2 years ago. My recollection is that a sidewalk or preparation for a sidewalk is not part of this current project. My question is whether whatever work is being done would not foreclose the opportunity to install a sidewalk later on.
So I've been asked to focus on this particular aspect of this structural repair and the traffic detour. So I'd like to ask Deputy Commissioner Jim Michael if he'd like to weigh in on that specifically.
Yes, so Jill, the sidewalk project has been kind of a parallel project that we've been working with the neighborhood, and we will continue to work with the neighborhood. I know it's in future out years on the capital budget, and so we'll just kind of have to see where that lands. This won't do anything to deter what we had planned as part of that sidewalk project.
Thank you.
Jim, where would this sidewalk be, on what side of the street there?
There's still details to be worked out. There's been discussion of whether it would go through the park somewhere to get up there, or would it be our intent, if the last plan that we proposed was putting it on the opposite side of the road from where this wall is going, which is kind of the rock ledge side, but we'd have to take out a significant amount of rock ledge. And that's a pretty significant cost, but that's all worked into the budget that we have for the sidewalk project.
Thank you. I know there's a lot of rock there.
Pretty much everywhere in Greenwich we run into rock, but
yeah, there you can see it. Well, thank you.
Some blind turns too from a walking perspective.
Yeah, good point. Okay, any other questions?
I see a hand raise, Fred. Joanne Messina again. Joanne, I'm going to unmute you.
Thank you. That was very well presented. I was curious, having both Jim and on the call, if there will be trees taken down for either of these projects.
I can answer that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, part of the several permits required, even for ourselves as a municipality, we required an inland wetlands and watercourse agency permit, a highway permit, in order to do this work, and obviously the Board of Selectmen's approval for the detour. But within our inland wetlands and watercourse agency permit, we requested the removal of several trees. Those were already posted. We didn't get any feedback on them, so they will be removed. And the reasoning behind the removal of those trees, if I recall, about 11 are exclusively because in order to do the reconstruction of the retaining walls, and in fact, interestingly enough, a couple of those trees are actually what are supporting those retaining walls right now. And that's not ideal. That's not something you want to have. You want the retaining walls to be a solid piece of structural support.
Certainly. When were these trees posted?
Last summer.
And how many trees are we speaking of?
I want to say 11 trees.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And when it comes to the sidewalk project, we have not identified exactly how many trees that may impact. One of the things we've looked at as part of that project would be to try and save as many of the trees as we can.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you, Juan, for a very, very thorough presentation.
I have another
You're welcome.
hand raise. Robert Politano. Robert, I'm going to unmute you. If you can identify yourself, Robert. You might still be on mute on your end. Robert? Oh, we're having some mute ability.
See if I can reach Rob.
Robert, we'll try you. Fred's going to try you via phone. If you can hear us, maybe raise your hand again, because we cannot hear you. Okay, he can hear us, but we can't hear him. But you are unmuted on our end.
Okay, I thought I had Rob's number. I don't, but I guess we could circle back with him any concerns. But we're is there an ability for Rob to maybe type his question here? Or?
Yeah, we've disabled the chat feature.
Oh.
He could call in by phone, or he could email you if you're able to check your email during the meeting.
What is the Rob? If you can hear, if you want to call me at 203-536-5659, I'll put you on speakerphone. It's 203-536-5659. Hello,
Hello, Fred.
Rob. Okay, you're on.
Okay, I feel a little technically challenged.
No, you're doing fine. We hear you.
All right, my question is, has there been any consideration to making the wall have a dual purpose of retaining wall and sidewalk?
Jim, Juan?
I'm gonna defer to Jim on that one.
Okay, thank you.
So when we looked at that option, the amount of widening that would need to be done, the impact to the floodplain related to the Byram River, and the fact that the sidewalk would be on the opposite side of the road as what the park is, both the financial aspect and constructability became very difficult. We can't really fill in the floodplain, and so therefore we really need to do the sidewalk on the opposite side of the road. So we did look at it throughout the process, but we found that it's not really a ability to combine both projects at the same time.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Okay. Are there any more questions, Lauren? Okay. Seeing no
Sorry,
questions-
another hand raised. I thought you were like me, Lauren. I forgot my job to look at the hand raisers. Vin DeMarco again. I will unmute you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Vin. Go ahead.
Okay. Just as a follow-up to that previous question by the caller, it's obvious that the infill of the floodplain area is not feasible. However, I'm curious as to whether the sidewalk could actually be put on that side, on the river side, after taking down or chipping out the rock and simply moving the geometry of the road over to allow the sidewalk to be on the riverside and the lane, the traffic lane, to be pushed over into where the rock area is now.
That's a detail that we can continue to look at as we would further develop the sidewalk project. It was discussed. There is a little bit of a, how do I want to say it? There's a clear zone concern with the ability to have the road right next to the rock ledge further than, it is there now. But if we do make improvements out there, then we have to start looking at the safety purposes. And by putting the sidewalk on that side, it does make it a little bit better for vehicles and clearance to those rock ledges. But it will be all part of the review of the project when we get to the design of the sidewalk project.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Vin. Are there any more questions or
Yes, no more hand raises.
no more hand raises? Okay. All right, thank you. And thanks again, Jim and Juan. So we are being asked to vote on this now. So do I have a motion to approve this?
So Lauren Raven, I motion to approve the road closure and detour on Pembroke Road.
Jill Oberlander, I'll second that motion.
Okay, discussion. Seeing none, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor, Fred Camillo votes yes.
Lauren Raven votes yes.
Jill Oberlander votes yes.
Okay, so that is approved. And Jim, if you can, if we could just circle back when we get a better idea of those dates. I know you're trying to do it, June to August, but when that's confirmed, if you could just let us know so we can help get the word out on that.
Yes, we will. Thank you very much for everything.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Juan. Okay, item B and new business, the Greenwich Police Emerald Society Parade and Celebration. We have Lieutenant James Bonney and former Greenwich Police Officer Tom Keegan, now Norwalk Councilman. Timmy and Tommy on?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yep, I'm here. Thank you.
Very good.
Lieutenant and TK, welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the board seeing us today. Tom Keegan and I have partnershiped in multiple projects in the past, including the block party we did for 3 years. We did multiple concerts in the park back when we were with the Silver Shield Association. I've had this, I'm a member of a local Greenwich pipe band, and I'm a bagpiper. I have a lot of friends that are bagpipers, and for the last couple of years, I've been pitching the idea of having an actual bagpipe parade where we invite bagpipers from all over the region to come and then have what they call a tattoo, which is like a competition afterwards. And I thought it would be unique to the area. There's not a lot of that stuff going around here. The main one's in New Jersey, and a lot of people go to it. So I thought it would be a great draw and a good community event. After discussing the situation with retired Lieutenant Keegan, he had pitched the idea that we could actually do this, but we could support the hospital staff, the doctors, the nurses, all the people that have been helping us during this pandemic. And this would be a great way to show appreciation for everything they've done and all of the, they put themselves in peril to help the town. And I think the town would really show up in force to thank them. One of the other things that happened, we bagpipers practice all year for St. Patty's Day. And we practice all year to play and go around town and march in parades, and it was all canceled this year. So I thought this was not only a perfect opportunity to thank the medical staff, but also I thought we'd get a lot of interest in bagpipe bands, and that would be also add a little bit of fun to the situation. The Greenwich Police Emerald Society and the combined organization of police, which are both local Greenwich organizations that, primarily the Emerald Society gives out scholarships to the officers' kids for school, for colleges. And the combined organization of police is the vehicle they use to collect money, and it's a 501c3. It's also run in part by Frank Kelly, who's a retired officer, and Tom Keegan. And, they agreed to partnership up with me and to give it a go. And I think it's going to be a very successful day. I mean, we've done, like I said, block parties in the past. It's always gone off without a hitch. Tommy Keegan's been a lifelong resident of Greenwich. He knows the people in the area. He knows what the residents like. And he's always nailed every event we've ever done. I've had everyone I've spoken to and questioned as to whether or not they'd be interested in doing it, and they've all said yes. So we've got a lot of community support already that are willing to help. I presented you with a little write-up of what the parade would entail. It's basically the same route. At the beginning, it's the same. We're going to use the same kind of outline that they use for the St. Patty's Day parade, where people would get bused or walk to Town Hall. We'd leave from the front of Town Hall, walk up Field Point Road to the Post Road, make a right, walk over to Greenwich Avenue, come down Greenwich Avenue, have a small reviewing stand. What we're going to do a little bit different is we're going to make a right on Railroad Avenue, okay, and the parade will go till it hits Arch Street. The vehicles will turn left and go into the Horseneck lot and park in the Horseneck lot, and all the marchers will go north on Arch Street and make a left on Bowling Place and go into the park behind Town Hall and the Board of Ed, where that field is. And that's where we're going to have a mass band where all the bagpipers will play all at the same time. And they'll also, each band will be able to round up and play. We'll give out little trophies for people for the best band. And we're going to have all sorts of restaurants and food trucks on the track, so as not to damage the grass, so that it'll be a good gathering point for people to actually after the parade's over, they'll go to the party afterwards. And we'll have all the local businesses involved that want to be. And I thought it was a great opportunity to do it right in the center of town, so that like the bars and restaurants will be able to have, keep the business, rather than have it, on the other side of I-95 where it's separated from the center of town. I wanted to keep it in the center of town. So that's our idea. I know Tom might have a couple words to say.
Can you hear me?
We hear you, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. When Jim presented it to me some weeks ago, I thought it was a great idea. We added the portion of, this is not just a recreation of the St. Patrick's Day parade. This is an opportunity for all of us to say thank you and to celebrate all the great work that has been done by the people who have been on the front lines of the coronavirus. And I'm not just talking about police and fire and EMS. And what about the people in your parks department and have those folks walking in the parade with the cops and the firemen and the paramedics and the tree department and everybody that's been out there every single day. And as Jim alluded to, we want to keep this local. We want to ask the merchants within the town itself to help us celebrate. We intend to use all local vendors or restaurants to provide food and drink for the participants. And it will probably be time for all of us to kind of let it all out and celebrate something, because everybody's been, sitting on the edge of their seats for the last several weeks. And hopefully this will, be well over by September 13th, which is the day that Jim has chosen to try to do this. And we sincerely appreciate your support. We just think it's a great thing for the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. And thank you, Jimmy. I know, Jim, you've spoken with Parks Director Siciliano about the
Yes.
availability of the field, correct?
Yes.
And there's no conflict?
Nope. He was in my office yesterday. We had a discussion about it. I told him we don't have any plans to put anything other than feet on the grass fields. There might be some on the outside of the track, off the actual playing field. There may be some tents and tables, but we're not putting any heavy equipment or trucks or anything that it's going to really cause any damage. And he seemed to be satisfied with that. I mean, we have insurance and we're going to handle everything appropriately. Like I said, we've done many events in the past, and so we've kind of know what we're doing when it comes to that. I think that there's a couple of events that are being rescheduled, and there's a possibility that the town party might be that weekend. And I talked to everyone about it. Nothing's on a Sunday; it's all Saturdays. If it's the last day of the ferries being operated, so we're going to use the Horse Neck lot instead of the Island Beach lot for everyone to park. So that'll eliminate that from being a problem. If the town party, they could possibly have it the day before. Usually the next day after the town party, they have tractor trailers full of things getting moved in and out of Roger Sherman Baldwin Park. Another reason to stay away from the Island Beach lot. So we just eliminated that from the problem. The one thing that we're doing a little different than the town party is that it's a free event, kid friendly, and it's for residents. So I really think that we're going to get a really good draw on it. And from the discussions that I've had with the few people that I have, I've kind of put out some feelers to see if they thought it would be a good idea, and everyone thought it was an excellent idea. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a great day. One of the other things that we're doing is we're going to invite police honor guards from all over the country to come. I went to a parade up in Billerica, Massachusetts about 10 years ago where they sent a teletype out, and they had police honor guards come from all over the place. And it was really cool seeing like Virginia, and it was really impressive. They have all different uniforms, and it was cool. It got a lot of good attention, and people enjoyed it. So we're going to mix it up a little bit, but everyone's going to be invited, and we're including everyone. So I'm hoping for a really big event.
Well, thank you. It's exciting to even think about, given what we've been going through the last couple of months here. And I know this is about 5 months away. Certainly, I know we don't have to take a vote on it now. I'm in support of it, but I certainly want to hear if Lauren and Jill have any questions, or anybody in the audience has any.
If I may say one thing, I mean, we don't know what the future holds for us. And you know what? People may be wearing masks on the side of the road and keeping distance from each other, but it's an outside event and it's rather large, so they have plenty of space to stretch out. The actual band people are going to be down in the pit, and there's going to be availability for people to sit and stand in the fields above. So it's not like they're not going to be confined to a area that they can't escape. It's going to be wide open, and God willing, the weather's good. And so that was all we considered all of that, but we're hoping in 5 months that you can't shut down, you can't stop all plans just in case, so we decided we were going to go forward with it and see what happens. The only thing I do ask is that if I do get a preliminary okay on it, I'm going to start inviting people right away, because people are rescheduling things, and a lot of these bands, they book up. So, that's one of the issues that we're dealing with.
If I can say one other thing, Jim, we neglected to ask our select persons if they will help us lead the parade.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna have some classic cars and some classic police cars and fire trucks and stuff in a parade. I know a guy that has a few convertibles, and we're gonna put all of the Board of Selectmen in their own convertible, and it's gonna be a fun time. It'll be a fun time.
I for what personally, how could I say no to the guy who taught me how to skate and gave me my first ticket?
There you go. That's right, Fred. I haven't forgotten.
Neither have I. I think it's a great idea. And God willing, that we'll be on the other side of this at that point. But certainly, it's an exciting thing, and maybe it's could be the beginning of a tradition here in town. So, Jill, Lauren, any questions or comments?
I don't have any questions. You addressed everything I was thinking of. It was more logistics, what else is scheduled at that time? What do you do if it rains? Those types of things. I'm a little choked up thinking about it. So in anticipation, I think it's just a lovely, wonderful idea. And if we could vote today, I would vote in the affirmative. I know I'm not supposed to give away my thought.
It's okay. I
Vincent
appreciate
Marino's
that.
on the call. We're not supposed to do that, but I'm getting choked up with the thought of it. So.
Yeah, so I echo that, and I want to thank you for all you're doing now, historically, but also for giving all of us something to look forward to. I think that is definitely sorely needed by the community, something to think ahead and be excited about. I'm hoping that you're going to post some preliminary videos online of some step dancing techniques that people might want to practice, even some tips on bagpipe blowing as well. So that will give people some things to practice on as they head towards September. So thank you very much for thinking of it.
Thank you very much. And we're gonna obviously I put on it that we're encouraging the wearing of kilts, and we have this whole Celtic theme. And I challenge anyone to keep a dry eye when 300 bagpipers play Amazing Grace together. It's going to be awesome. You've never experienced anything like it unless you've seen a huge mass band play Amazing Grace together. And it's going to be really moving, and it'll be a good tribute to those we lost in town also. So, but Tommy's the master at dealing with all of the pomp and circumstance. So it's going to be a tremendous day and let God willing, just knock on wood that we have good weather.
Well, thank you. The bagpipes are one of the great sounds in history. And so I agree with Lauren. It's you could see it could be quite emotional, especially given who will be so honoring and saluting that day. So I mean, I'm okay. I absolutely am totally behind this. We could vote to approve it now, and of course, as we get closer to that, we can,
Totally understandable.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the Greenwich Police Emerald Society Parade and Celebration to be held, God willing, September 13th, 2020.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, Fred Camillo votes yes.
Lauren O'Connell Raven votes yes.
Jill O' Verlander. Yes, as well.
Excellent.
They shame me, Jimmy, on that one.
I know, it's okay.
Well, I got to know, but it's at the end.
I'm half Italian, so I can't get away with it.
Fred Camillo O'Hagan. That's that.
Beautiful. Tommy, Jimmy, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank
guys.
you for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you. That's exciting. That's one of the nicer things we get to discuss. All right, great. So we go to the last thing on our agenda today for new business, which is the updated retainer agreement with Town Attorney Vincent Marino. I know Vin's on the call there.
Oh yeah, I will promote you. That's the term of the technology. I have moved you to panelist. Vincent. We saw you for a moment.
The technical problems. Too aggressive with my apps. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
And now we can see you.
So the audio problem might be bandwidth. It sounds like you might have a slow internet connection.
So yeah, maybe it's okay if you don't show video then. I know that takes up additional bandwidth.
Or you can call in with the dial-in number and mute your video, whatever you're using to call in with video.
I will do that.
Now, Jen, I'm just gonna have to figure out what telephone number might be his.
Yeah, well, the last 4 digits, you can ask him, you know, just if he can just give you the last 4 digits.
1394.
There it is. And you can even rename it. And then that has to stay in the attendees. I'm going to allow him to talk. Can you try talking now, Vince?
Yes, no, that is not me.
Okay. What are the last? Okay.
You know, I'm trying to pull up the agenda to get the number. I'm sorry.
Oh, I can share the agenda if you like. I've got it right here.
I do have a slow internet connection.
Oops, sorry.
Blame the town of Bethany for that.
And if you could just give us the last 4 digits of your telephone number when you're gonna call in. That would be super.
That'll be 1394.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
And I'm sharing the screen with the dial-in for today if you have any trouble locating it.
I'm calling right now.
And I'm gonna mute this because we're gonna get serious feedback.
You have joined the meeting as an attendee and will be muted throughout the meeting.
All right, I have it.
You're unmuted.
Okay, we have you on your phone line.
Yeah, so
and
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you.
May I proceed?
Yes, please.
So what is before you is a updated retainer with my new law firm. Approximately a month ago, I, together with a number of my partners at Cohen & Wolf, spun off a boutique law firm. We've been servicing the town since that time. The services to the town have not changed. I have continued to attend town hall, holding office hours, of course, subject to the COVID pandemic. My hours at town hall have been modified, as everyone's has, but I do remain available to the town department heads and staff via Zoom or via cell phone, as I say, 24 hours a day when anyone needs me. I've regularly attend the RTM meetings, the BET law committee meetings, and the Board of Selectmen meetings. and remain available for any other meetings that I am requested to attend. So for purposes of the service to the town, nothing will change with respect to my availability or the availability of my partners to support me and the town. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes, thanks, Vin. In speaking with Attorney Tim Herbst, but we were talking about when we get to the other side of this, that on a rotating basis, that somebody possibly be on site at town hall. And he said he was going to circle back and have that discussion with you and the others. And this was weeks ago. Obviously, things are different now. And I appreciate everybody always getting back right away to questions. But have you had that discussion at all about just having a presence there at town hall on an almost daily basis?
Yes. The intent is once we resume to normal, I am planning on being at town hall at Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And the times will vary slightly because of meeting schedules. So for example, on a Monday, if it's an RTM meeting that I'm going to attend, I'll likely be there in the afternoon so that I'm working at town hall in the afternoon and then going to the night meeting. If it's a Board of Selectmen meeting where I'm going to be attending and that's in the morning like this one, I would likely be in town hall in the morning that week because the Board of Selectmen is a meeting that I think I should be available for. Attorney Herbst or Attorney George or Schellenberg will cover the days that I'm not going to be at town hall so that there will be an attorney on site 5 days a week, at least I would say for 3 to 4 hours when we're present. But again, as needed, we are available to be present. Normally when I'm at town hall, while I'm scheduled to be there 3 to 4 hours, I tend to be there 6 to 8.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. That would be quite helpful. So thank you. Lauren, Jill, any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. Thank you, Fred. Just a little bit of background for our audience. This item was added to the agenda. I learned of it late Tuesday afternoon, early evening, and sent questions off to Vincent Marino Tuesday night. He did respond to my questions, but I only received the response, understandably, since I sent it Tuesday night. And when I got notice late last night, Vin, I haven't had a chance to go fully through your answers. So, but I do appreciate your quick response. I did have a question, and maybe you could talk a little bit about the generation of your decision making to spin off from Cohen and Wolf, given that we had just hired Cohen and Wolf at the end of January.
Yes, so in order to provide a good service to municipalities by nature want lower hourly rates. And what we're finding over time is that the lower hourly rates with a firm structure like Cohen and Wolf, where there's high overhead, was becoming more challenging. And in order for us to continue to provide the best service to our municipal clients, a group of us decided, who all were part of the municipal practice group, to spin off so that we would have a firm with lower overhead so that we can continue to provide the services to our municipal clients the way we historically have.
Yeah. So, and when, this is obviously not something that came up overnight, right? To analyze the overhead and legal fees, it's obviously been something that's been in discussion. The place that gives me pause is we had a discussion in January about the rationale for hiring Cohen and Wolf. And that rationale was stated that they were going to provide a full law firm expertise, sort of a hiring a law firm as counsel. And very shortly thereafter, the model seems to have changed. So it's not about necessarily the individual representation. However, as a municipal attorney, I am a little surprised that advising a board, making a decision, the foundation for our decision, or the decision of the board, was founded on one thing that was going to change. Maybe you could address that for me.
Sure. In all honesty, this was a decision that I did not make until the beginning of pretty much a week before it happened. A couple of my partners had been talking about it. I've been with the firm for 22 years, and making the decision to split off from, split off from the firm was not an easy decision for me because of my long affiliation with the firm. But at the end, toward the end of February and the beginning of March, when I was thinking about it and looking at a couple of my partners that were going to be spinning off, I decided that it was in my best interest as a practitioner and in the best interest of my municipal clients to spin off with these partners at that time. So when I was addressing this body back in January, at that moment in time, I had no intent of leaving Cohen & Wolf. And quite frankly, the model that we presented then is still available to the town at this moment in time, as I continue in good rapport with Cohen & Wolf. My former partners are available to service the town on request. It does also address the self-referral issue that you had previously raised, as to the extent I utilize the services of Cohen & Wolf, that does not inure to my financial benefit. As I stated in my response to you, I do not receive a financial benefit when I refer matters to outside counsel. So, but all the attorneys at Cohen & Wolf would still be available to work on town matters at the discounted rate.
Right. I didn't thank you for that. That is one of the questions that I had asked. I didn't see that, and maybe as I scanned through your response, maybe I missed it. So I do think it is important to clarify for people listening, and also to support perhaps in the retainer agreement that is the that is still the deal, that the rates that were represented when we signed the retainer with you in January remain the rates for Cohen & Wolf work. In addition, you did respond, and I appreciate it, to the concern that I raised both in January and asked about this time with the retainer, with the language. The language that you used in your email response is broader than the language that's in the retainer agreement. So I would just ask that you modify the retainer agreement to reference the fact that there will be no pecuniary benefit that will accrue to your law firm as a result of any town referral, which is, I think, what you pretty much represented in your email as well.
Right. As I stated in my email, it would be a violation of the rules of professional conduct for me to engage in that type of behavior, which I'm not going to do. The only way I'd be able to engage in that behavior is if I provided written notice to the town and the town consented. So as I do not intend to put my law license on the line for a few shekels, I have no problem modifying the retainer just to cover that concern.
Okay, great. That is terrific. And also for the Cohen & Wolf referral as well, right?
Well, again, with respect to Cohen & Wolf, now that they are a separate outside counsel entity, I did speak to the managing partner, David Ball, just yesterday, and the firm will provide the discounted services to the town when needed. As has been the practice of my predecessor, outside counsel should engage in retainers for each representation. So while I can get a general representation from Cohen & Wolf that they would provide the discounted rate on any matter that I would refer to them as town attorney to protect the town's interest, I would get a separate retainer agreement with them for that matter, as would be required by the rules of professional conduct on their part. And also, as I would do with any other outside counsel that I might refer a matter to.
Right. So what you're saying is that you will ensure in any retainer that you enter into with them that the rates that they charge the town are as represented in the January retainer agreement.
Absolutely.
Terrific. And the last thing that I raised in the email, which you clarified as well in your response, the language of your retainer, since it's directed to the first selectman, references that you'll attend other meetings. I'm trying to find it. You'll attend other meetings at the direction or request of the first selectman. However, you did clarify that that other boards and commissions can directly request your attendance, and you will do so as part of the retainer. I'd just like you to clarify that as well for those listening, and also in your retainer agreement.
Sure, and that was kind of standard language, as is the practice in a lot of towns, that in order to avoid an avalanche of requests on the town attorney, that there be a conduit through which those requests were made. That's why that was there, and I had not changed it. Although my practice is, and particularly as I become more familiar with the other department heads and they become familiar with me, I have an open door policy, and I'm here to serve the town at large. And I am always available for conversation and or meeting attendance upon request. And that can be as easy as asking me in the hallway, asking me by email, or calling me on the phone.
Yeah, and I do recognize that. I appreciate it. I think that's been true to your several months working for the town, in which case I'm sure you've also learned that Greenwich is not the usual town, as you and I have discussed before. Generic advice given to usual towns won't necessarily apply to Greenwich. So given the special circumstances, that I actually would love our documentation to reflect the actual your representations and the actual understanding that we have. So I would also appreciate if you would modify your retainer agreement to clarify that the heads of other boards and commissions are also represented by you and can request your attendance.
That is fine.
So I thank you, Fred, for the opportunity to ask the questions. Vin, thank you for clarifying. It's unfortunate that we don't have that document in front of us right now to vote on. If Fred, if you're going to ask for a vote on this right now, I haven't looked at all of the information provided, and I'd love to see the revised agreement before I vote. So if you're going to vote, I'm going to choose to abstain for those reasons. If you're going to delay the vote, then we could take a look at the documentation again.
Yeah, Jill, I think that's very fair. I will delay it until the next meeting. Lauren, are you okay with that? I think.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. So like Jill, I was processing the information this morning, and my questions were around the dollar amount of the new retainer in comparison to the old. So we've satisfied that, and the use of Cohen and Wolf as needed. So we satisfied that answer, and I'm totally fine with making the retainer agreement clearer in terms of the delivery, and we'll be prepared to vote then. Thank you. I'm glad that you're feeling better.
Oh, thank you.
You're on mute, Fred.
Sorry about that. I got to get used to unmuting myself. Thanks, Vin. Feel better, and we'll circle back with this for the next meeting when we have when we have the document in front of us. So thanks, and thank you, Jill, Lauren, Jenny, everybody who helped produce this, our second virtual meeting. So with that, there is no other business on the calendar. So is there a motion to adjourn?
I see no hand raises, so I will motion Lauren Raven to adjourn our April 23rd meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor, Fred Camillo votes yes, so we are on our
Lauren
way
Raven,
to,
yes.
Jill Oberlander, yes.
okay. Thank you all, and have a safe day, and we'll circle back in the coming days.
Thanks, Fred. Thanks, Lauren. Thank you,
Thank you,
Jenny.
Jill.
Thanks, everybody.